called $400 on NQ on Thursday. My entry, my exit, my risk, and every single confluence that led me to get into this trade. All right, so the first thing that I do when I open the charts is mark off the previous day's high and the previous day's low, because I want to know what was the trend on the previous day, because chances are whatever the trend was on the previous day, that trend will continue into the current day. And I can see here that the previous day was bullish. So me personally, going into Thursday, I'm not looking for shorts. I'm looking for longs. That's it. At the end of the day, you trade with the trend, not against it. And that one decision, deciding to only look for longs, made everything else simple. The market had also created all-time highs at this previous day's high. And now I'm watching to see where it pulls back to. Okay, so let's get into the actual setup. When I move up to the 4-hour time frame, I immediately see that I have a 4-hour imbalance sitting right here where current price action was. And I also have a 1-hour imbalance sitting in that same area. 2 time frames giving me that same zone. That right there is confluence. That's not one reason to get in, that's 2. Now, both of these imbalances had already been retraced into. Price came back, tapped into those zones. And for anyone who doesn't know, an imbalance is basically an area where price moves so fast that it left unfilled orders behind. And price loves to come back to those areas. At the end of the day, that's just how the market works. On top of those imbalances, I drew a Fibonacci from the lowest point of that range to the highest point of that range. And I'm looking specifically at the 50% retracement. That 50% fib level sitting right inside my imbalance zone, that's my confirmation. That's where I'm getting in at. And here's the key thing. All of this was lining up between 9:30 and 10 a.m., which is your ideal window at market open. That matters. Let me tell y'all, the same setup at 1 p.m. is not the same setup at 9:30 a.m. Timing is part of your confluence. I know some of y'all are looking at this setup right now and you're thinking, but how did you know that it was going to go? And the honest answer is, I didn't. Nobody knows. And that's what trading is. What I knew was that my confluences were stacked. Bullish trend from the day before, price retracing into a 4-hour and 1-hour imbalance at the exact 50% fib level during my ideal time to trade. That's 4 things saying the same thing at the same time. You're not looking for certainty. You're looking for confluence. There's a difference. And if you're waiting to be certain before getting into a trade, you're never getting in. All right, so let's walk through what actually happened. I'm going to drop to the lower time frames. Price opened Thursday morning and started consolidating. Price was just sitting there and I'm watching. I'm not pressing any buttons. And then at 9:30, price pulled back into the zone and I entered. I had a 50-point stop loss and I was targeting 100 points. Right when price tapped that 4-hour and 1-hour imbalance, right at the 50% Fibonacci, and that was my entry. Long. I know exactly what I'm losing if this trade doesn't work. That's it. And then price just went up. And for anyone who knows, my rules are once price hits a 1-to-1, I move my stops to break even. So we see here that price pulled up to my 1-to-1 and then it pulled back and I got stopped out break even. So I actually took this trade twice on Thursday from the exact same entry. So after I got stopped out, I went back to the higher time frames and I waited for the 9 o'clock candle to close. Now, what's important here is that the 9 o'clock candle was going to close in a doji. And I knew that at the time that we were at, by the time I had gotten stopped out. But what's important to pay attention to is whether or not that doji closes bullish or bearish. Because the fact that it closed bullish let me know that price still wanted to go up. Price was still bullish. So after that 9 o'clock candle closed, I waited for the 10 a.m. candle to open. And after this wick was created, when price came back to my entry, I got in again. Same exact entry, 50-point stop, targeting 100 points. And then price just went. It ran all the way up. The target was the all-time high, and it got there. Hit all-time high right around 11 a.m. $400, done. Now, and this is important, at 11 a.m., after price ran that all-time high, it formed a doji. You see a doji after a big run like that at a major level, like an all-time high, that is your signal to be done for the day. You take your profits and you walk away. And wouldn't you know it, at 1 p.m., price just straight died. Like absolutely tanked. I don't know if y'all were watching the news that day, but Trump, I'm not even gonna get into that. But the point is, the trade was over at 11. I was out, and everything that happened after that was not my problem. Real quick, if you're new here, I document my full funded trader journey. Real trades, real numbers, real mistakes. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next breakdown. So let's annotate the confirmations that we had to get into this trade. We had the time, 9 and 10 a.m., our ideal time to trade. Plus we had a 1 hour imbalance, which was also in the same area of a 4 hour imbalance. We had price was bullish from the previous day. We were going with the trend. We had a fib long, 50%, and we had all-time highs. So these were all of our reasons to get into the trade. All right, let me give you 3 things that made this trade work because I really don't want you to overthink this. Number 1, I followed the trend. The previous day was bullish. I was looking for longs only. That eliminated an entire side of the market and made my decision simpler. You're not supposed to be trading in both directions every day. Number 2, I had multiple confluences pointing to the same zone. 4 hour imbalance, 1 hour imbalance, 50% Fibonacci, all at the same zone. One of those things alone, interesting. All 3, that's where I'm getting in. And number 3, I traded at the right time, 9:30 to 10 a.m. That's my window. After 11 a.m., especially after price has run a major level like all-time highs, I'm done. I'm watching. I'm not trading. And that discipline is what kept me from getting destroyed at 1 p.m. when price tanked. Let me tell y'all, the setup itself was nothing complicated. Very smooth. This wasn't some crazy 47 indicator strategy. It was trend, imbalance, Fibonacci. That's it. Don't overcomplicate it. You know what I mean? That's all I got. Let me know down in the comments, are you trading NQ and do you want me to break down more setups like this? Drop it below, because if y'all want it, I'll make the whole series. And don't forget to hit subscribe. Stay blessed. I'll see y'all in the next one.